Good evening, I'm Andrew Chang. Adrian is away. Tonight, Pfizer asks Canada for extra credit.
They have assured us 4 million by end of March.
Measuring doses delivered differently. We make sense of the questions and the potential problems with the plan.
Pfizer has let us down tremendously. It's, again, unacceptable.
As concerns spike over the new variants,
it can really lead to a vertical type takeoff in terms of the numbers of cases.
should we be doubling up on masks? We look into what's next for those who used to work for Payette. And
this thing has happened so quickly, so fast.
turning the markets upside down. Why Reddit's moment means more for so many. This is The National. Well, after 10 long months in this pandemic, it's pretty clear vaccines are seen as the way out. So every dose, every drop matters, and the details are incredibly important. Today, that was where the confusion began, in the details of just how much vaccine Pfizer was planning to send to Canada. And as David Cochrane explains, with doses already delayed, there was new worry that things could get worse.
Pfizer has let us down tremendously. It's, again, unacceptable.
Ontario's premier was angry. So was the opposition.
Or the latest cut of another 500,000 doses for Canada.
Outrage that Pfizer seemingly cut Canada's first quarter doses from 4 million to 3.5.
We know that less doses means more infection and more death.
Turns out the math is not that simple.
Pfizer has assured us that Canada will receive 4 million doses.
Pfizer isn't cutting total doses, it's asking for credit for what's already in the vial. Each vial is currently approved for 5 doses, but people have been squeezing 6 doses out of them, essentially getting one for free. Going forward, Pfizer wants the labels changed to count that dose, which would reduce the number of vials it needs to send to Canada to honor its contract.
And that's why I'm so frustrated by the news today, the latest in a series of unfulfilled promises from the federal government. Ottawa continues to fail us and to fail all Albertans.
Alberta is alarmed because Pfizer is already banking on that 6th dose and scheduling smaller deliveries to the provinces. It suggests a big drop in supply, but Ottawa says Pfizer will send bigger deliveries if it doesn't get the extra credit.
And Pfizer's very much aware of that and will plan accordingly and scale up their numbers if that's what is required. But they have assured us 4 million by end of March.
Okay, so David, can I ask you, how viable is this idea of consistently extracting a 6th dose?
Well, Europe's already approved it, but the challenge is that extracting that dose successfully and consistently requires a special syringe that's in short supply. And on top of that, Alberta's top doctor, that's Dr. Dina Hinshaw, she says even with that syringe, drawing that 6th dose can only be achieved about 75% of the time. And then there's the timeline. Canada has ordered 38 million of these syringes. Deliveries start next week, but they all won't be here until April.
And do we know much more about Pfizer's deliveries for the next few weeks?
Yeah, Canada's still banking on 4 million doses by the end of March, but the next few weeks are going to be rough. No doses at all this week because of plant upgrades in Belgium. Only 150,000 doses over the next 2 weeks. That's way down from the 735,000 we expected. So the promise is that things will ramp up substantially in the middle of next month, but as we've seen, Andrew, things change frequently and fast.
Indeed. David Cochrane, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, coming up, Rosie in the At Issue panel will dig into the struggles facing our political leaders on the vaccine front and what vaccine nationalism could mean for Canadians. That's in a little over 20 minutes' time. Now, on the transmission front, we got some good news and some bad news today. First, the good news. Nationwide, there were fewer than 4,900 new cases recorded. That pulls the 7-day average below 5,000. That downward trend is encouraging. The country seems to be moving in the right direction. And there's a similar curve in the 7-day average for hospitalizations. But some doctors warn the variants of this coronavirus now here could reverse the trends.
And perhaps most worrisomely, the new variants of concern, the mutated SARS-CoV-2 virus, are clearly spreading in the community and will likely be the dominant version of the virus in March.
So that's the bad news. Today, Ontario health officials called variants a significant threat. The one that originated in the UK is as much as 30% more transmissible and possibly deadlier too. It has doctors around the world and here at home rethinking when, where, and how we should be wearing masks. Ellen Morrow looks at what's changing and what isn't.
A winter pastime in the COVID era. Masks mandatory on Toronto rinks. Reassurance for skaters fearful of virus variants.
If they're truly as terrible as they say, we should use as much protection as we can.
Because the new variants are more contagious, some experts say masking needs to go next level. Lindsay Marr is one of the top aerosol scientists in the world.
So I have this cloth mask, I have this surgical mask, and the gold standard N95. What should people be using in their day-to-day lives with these variants?
If you have access to an N95, I think you should wear that when you're going into higher risk situations. In other situations, the combination of a surgical mask with a cloth mask on top is very effective.
Since November, Canada's Public Health Agency has recommended 3-layer non-medical masks. N95s, it says, should be saved for medical workers, but some European countries have started to recommend them for everyday use. Double masking is becoming more common. Look no further than President Biden.
It just makes common sense that it likely would be more effective.
Experts say that's because of the 2 F's, fit and filter. Adding a second mask means more filtering layers. It can also mean the mask against your skin fits tighter, potentially offering more protection. But if a mask is of the recommended standard, one at a time in everyday life is enough, says Dr. Zain Chagla.
The best kind of mask is the mask people wear properly more than anything else. And so using that kind of standard mask, wearing it appropriately, making sure it covers our nose and mouth, making sure it's a good fit, those are probably much more important than saying putting on 2 masks or putting an N95.
With difficult winter months still ahead and the variants threatening to take hold, what's most important, experts say, is remembering that any mask is better than no mask at all. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, British Columbia is seeing outbreaks right now at some tourist hotspots, and that has people demanding new travel restrictions. The province had been bending the curve on its second wave, but case numbers have now plateaued. Here's Tanya Fletcher with where exactly the problem appears to be.
So I think the government should put some kind of restriction. Safety of the people of BC has to be at the forefront.
I'd like a travel ban into provincial.
The calls are growing louder for BC to tighten its borders, a day after the Premier again refused.
The public health evidence is not there at this time.
There is no lockdown in BC, and that, many say, makes it appealing to visitors. On any given day, you can walk down any given street like this one on the west side of Vancouver, and you'll find pretty much everything open. You can shop at that boutique there, maybe grab some sushi here, or browse through this bookstore. And just a block away, you can swim at the community center, and the library's open too. Head east, closer to the Alberta border, and the out-of-province presence is obvious.
We're seeing people from Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, all with sleds on the back of their trucks. We're seeing people coming from Ontario and even Quebec. They're here to ski.
To find the biggest COVID epicenters, just follow the powder to some of BC's winter travel hotspots. Whistler now accounts for the largest number of cases on BC's south coast by far, a number that quadrupled in a week. There's a new cluster of 12 cases at a major hotel, and half a dozen bars and restaurants have been flagged for exposures. And in the Okanagan, a cluster at Big White Mountain near Kelowna has ballooned to 225 cases since mid-December. A primary concern is young people who live, work, and socialize together, many of them locals.
Just trying to restrict others from coming in is not going to solve our problem. We also need to recognize that we're bringing it and spreading it when we are connecting with others in BC as well.
Brushing aside mounting pressure, the province, for now, will leave BC's borders as open to other Canadians as they've ever been. Tanya Fletcher, CBC News, Vancouver.
Well, the federal government wants to change the way health care is delivered to Indigenous people, including handing over control over resources and taking aim at what many see as the biggest obstacle, systemic racism. Olivia Stefanovic now on the plan and why so many say it's so long overdue.
There's always the, did she get that job, because she deserved it? Was it just handed to her? Does she have the qualifications?
Racism dogged Dr. Kona Williams throughout medical school, following her even after she got her degree.
It happens every single day. And I think that needs to be realized and taken seriously before we can move the next step as to what do we do about it.
Systemic racism also affects patients, a reality graphically captured last year by a Quebec First Nation mother. Joyce Echequan recorded medical staff mocking her as she lay dying. Echequan's death prompted high-level meetings today and yesterday between government officials and Indigenous health experts.
There has to be a transformation of power.
That transformation will come in the form of legislation. Consultations are starting to hand over the delivery of health care to First Nations, Inuit, and the Métis Nation. The goal is to create Indigenous-led health authorities, hire more Indigenous health professionals, and make Indigenous patients feel comfortable seeing nurses and doctors.
We need to define the quality of healthcare to include cultural safety.
This law professor recently found widespread inequality in a review of BC's health system. For instance, Indigenous women are screened only half as much as non-Indigenous women for cervical cancer.
This is not advocacy, this is facts. We need to bring those levels up.
The federal government is spending more than $15 million over the next 2 years to develop Indigenous-tailored health legislation. But a bill isn't expected anytime soon. Talks are expected to take months. For some, the pace of change is frustratingly slow. Olivia Stefanovic, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, the Winnipeg police officer who shot and killed a 16-year-old Indigenous girl last spring will not face charges. And her family, angry with that decision, is now calling for a public inquiry into her death.
When you would identify my daughter or anybody that's Indigenous, is it your first reaction to pull out a gun? Say if the person was white, would that have happened? I highly don't believe that it would have happened.
Last April, Aisha Hudson was shot after allegedly robbing a liquor store and leading police on a chase. A report from Manitoba's police watchdog says officers used appropriate force. Now her death will be reviewed by the chief medical examiner. Peter Nygard will have to spend at least another week in jail after a Manitoba judge put off making a decision in the fashion mogul's bail hearing today. Nygard faces extradition to the United States on allegations of sexually assaulting dozens of women and girls over a 25-year period. His lawyers have argued he is at risk of contracting COVID-19 if he doesn't get out on bail. The judge expects to have a decision by next Friday. Well, 1 week after the resignation of Cicely Tyson, those who worked under the former Governor General are taking stock of the damage and thinking about their next steps. Ashley Burke has more on the difficult road ahead for them and for Rideau Hall.
The structure is still standing, but the culture has been destroyed. Many complainants described Rideau Hall to investigators as a toxic or poison workplace, and that it felt like they were walking on eggshells.
Obviously, Madame Payette has resigned, so she's no longer in the workplace. But the damage there has already been done.
Jennifer White has investigated other workplace harassment cases. She says the Humpty Dumpty phase comes next, picking up all the broken pieces and putting it back together again.
I'm quite sure that there is a lot of tension between the employees, and I'm certain that the Governor General does have supporters within the ranks, and certainly those who are still working there, who are a little off kilter because she's no longer in the workplace.
Some who left Rideau Hall during Cicely Tysson's mandate are now trying to return, while others tell CBC News they are considering their legal options. Some said they experienced symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, went on antidepressants, took sick leave, or left their jobs altogether.
I think I left devastated almost every day. And it made it hard to it had an impact on my family because I was stressed and I was questioning myself and questioning, what I was putting forward. There was a lot of crying. I felt anxiety.
The government's own workplace harassment directive states it must find ways to make people whole again, according to this employment lawyer. That can look different for everyone, from monetary compensation to job offers to extra time off work.
the individuals are going to have various rights to get a remedy that's suited for them.
The report recommended that the Privy Council office intervene and act immediately and decisively, especially to address the mistrust and fear that led about 90 people to speak confidentially, but not one to feel safe enough to file a formal complaint. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, the absolute spectacle of GameStop's rubber-banding stock price showed once again today there is no telling where this story goes next. Ordinary investors have been teaming up online to push the video game retailer's stock price way up. That caused billions in losses for those Wall Street investment firms who were wagering big that the stock price would fall. Then came a new development to howls of outrage from those small investors. The online brokerage Robinhood limited how that stock could be traded. Still, the share price dropped like a rock, bounced back a bit, and ended the day down 44%. Nearly $11 billion in market value gone in just hours. Jacqueline Hansen shows us how those high stakes have a lot of people talking, including regulators.
You can't just change the rules without telling anybody in the middle of the game.
From Twitter to TikTok.
I would also like to profit from other people's misfortune. I'm sorry, we've halted trading on all of those stocks.
And even in person.
Hey, uninstall Robinhood. Get it off your phone.
Outrage that trading platforms could pour cold water on the wildfire that is GameStop. Shares of the struggling video game store became the target of millions of non-professional retail investors on a Reddit forum, enabled by apps like Robinhood that offer easy use and zero commission. In a statement, Robinhood said its mission is still to democratize finance for all, but today it clamped down on the viral stocks, including AMC Entertainment, BlackBerry, and GameStop. Investors can't get into new trades, they can only get out. While the company is trying to protect investors from themselves, many see it as an attack on the freedom the company has been selling.
If someone wants to put their whole 401k into a GameStop, they know the risks. They've gathered the information. So what's the problem?
Now officials are taking notice.
Interesting, isn't it? I understand that the administration is taking a look, the SEC is taking a look at what that is. But we'll all be reviewing it, but interesting.
Canadians can't use Robinhood. Many use Wealthsimple. That company is putting warnings on high-flying stocks, but not restricting anything.
It's up to clients to make those decisions and choose the appropriate level of risk for themselves.
And many are.
We've seen a 50% increase in new account signups this week, and more than doubling of the amount of trading volume on the platform.
For the little guys, it's about buying into something bigger.
I think it was pretty cool that the power of, I guess, the a bunch of middle class people could have over all these wealthy hedge funds.
Tonight, Robinhood backtracked slightly, saying tomorrow they will allow limited buys of the viral stocks. Jacqueline Hansen, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, I want to get some more insight here from our senior business correspondent, Peter Armstrong. Peter, we've seen and heard so much about how the stock market is disconnected from the real economy, but how does all of this fit into that?
It's a good point, Andrew. I mean, this whole story, it's like a culmination of all these various forces at play in our society right now. You know, a stock market that's skyrocketing while millions of people remain in these just desperate financial situations. You got millions of people bored, stuck at home, getting together on the internet to find something to rally around. And in this case, they rallied around, call it a lovable loser in GameStop. And it's actually hard to parse out the motivation here. You know, are these Reddit traders doing this to make money? Are they doing it to stick it to Wall Street, to expose what they see as a hypocritical system that they feel is rigged? You know, in a way, it's all of the above. And the weirdest thing about this is for this very brief moment in time this week, the rebellion won. They crushed some really big names. They got a ton of notoriety, and they proved, if only to each other, that they do have power here.
Right, and so this has been a wild ride, but where does it go from here?
That's going to be the most fascinating thing to watch on a couple of fronts, because you've got the hedge funds. You know, will they all close out their short position and take the loss and move on, or will they try to ride this out and hope the stock eventually falls to where they expected it to? But the bigger question is, now that they've kind of shown a proof of concept, who will this group target next? You know, AMC movie theaters, Blockbuster, video stock, even the company that makes Tootsie Rolls, they've already been targeted. And I think at the heart of your question is whether this is a blip or some kind of a new force in the Wall Street landscape. And the fact is, right now, we just don't know.
Peter Armstrong, thanks for this.
You bet.
Okay, now on a very sad note, fans around the world are mourning Cicely Tyson tonight, a Tony and Emmy Award-winning actor who broke barriers for Black actors.
This is the culmination of all those years of have and have not.
Tyson was a pioneer with a career spanning 7 decades, which included more than 100 roles, both on the stage and on screen. She won multiple Emmys, an honorary Oscar, even the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the highest civilian honor there is in the United States. Cicely Tyson was 96 years old. Well, doctors have a message for elderly Canadians. The COVID-19 vaccine is safe.
My fear is to be really sick and not being able to survive this vaccine.
Next on The National, what we now know about some seniors who died after getting the shot.
Bad stuff does happen, but the vaccine isn't making this happen.
The world's ice is melting fast, and Canadian scientists are sounding the alarm.
The end of their existence within our generation.
Plus, Marketplace goes undercover to investigate companies that offer quick cash at a big cost.
Is that how interest works?
I know it doesn't.
We're back in 2 minutes. Welcome back. Let's return to the COVID-19 pandemic and your safety. We wanted to look behind the headlines that reported deaths of seniors after getting the vaccine. Because as health reporter Christine Birak found, when you dig a little deeper, the evidence paints a very different picture.
Paulette Brown is tracking the latest vaccine news. Unfortunately, the headlines around vaccines, seniors, and safety can be dizzying.
My fear is to be really sick and not being able to survive this vaccine.
Fear sparked by reports that a handful of seniors in Norway died after receiving a COVID-19 vaccine. Health officials later confirmed the patients were all severely ill beforehand. The World Health Organization says current reports do not suggest any unexpected increase in fatalities in frail, elderly individuals.
Bad stuff does happen, all right? But the vaccine isn't making this happen.
Experts emphasize millions of people, many of them seniors, have now been safely vaccinated worldwide. Early data shows the rate of serious allergic reactions was about 10 in every 1 million vaccine doses. Geriatrician Samir Sinha says the risks posed by this virus are much worse.
The overall evidence that we've actually seen right now related to the Pfizer Moderna vaccines is that they are incredibly safe vaccines.
These vaccines have, I will say, have hit the ball out of the park in terms of being able to stimulate the older person's immune system.
That's no small feat. Typically, vaccines are made for younger, healthier people, and they're less effective in older adults. Researchers say they just don't prompt a strong enough immune response in older people to attack the invader. But these new mRNA vaccines appear to be different. Testing shows shots of Pfizer and Moderna are waking up 2 branches of the immune system, not just antibodies, but also T cells to help fight this coronavirus and remember it for next time.
I can't wait to get it, personally.
The Browns say they can't live without their independence or their family and will get the shot as soon as they can. Christine Birak, CBC News, Orillia, Ontario.
Well, and ahead tonight, a hidden camera marketplace investigation.
The interest that they charged us was 27.99%.
We go undercover to investigate alternative lenders and what they tell Canadians looking for quick cash. But first, Rosie's here with At Issue.
Andrew, tonight we're going to take a closer look at Parliament's return from the ongoing debates over vaccine rollout to how all political leaders are trying to find their place in the House and with Canadians. That's next with Chantal, Andrew, and Althea. Parliament returned this week, and with it came renewed questions about vaccine procurement and distribution.
There is no plan B because, Mr. Speaker, there was never an effective plan A for the distribution and securing vaccines for Canadians.
What is a plan to make sure everyone in our country is vaccinated?
Frustration echoed by the provinces.
We need a loud voice
to make sure that we get our fair share of vaccines.
There's a real lack of consistency of information that is flowing, and it's becoming very problematic.
This as fears of vaccine nationalism also ramp up.
This is a global environment which is extremely competitive.
So are politics getting in the way? It sure sounds like it from that pack. Are political leaders asking the right questions about vaccines? It's Thursday. I'm here with At Issue, Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Althea Raj. Good to see everybody. Chantal, let's start with you. Obviously, we knew there were going to be delays. We didn't receive any vaccines this week. Opposition parties are trying to assign blame. They say that there's no clear plan. What is useful in this kind of situation where obviously, accountability is needed, but some of this is out of the government's hands too?
Well, it's useful in the sense of if it makes you feel better. It probably helps, but that being said, it is out of the government's hands. And what we saw this week in the House of Commons, and I am not blaming the opposition for that, is stamping your feet, or if you have kids, driving a car and hearing this, are we there yet? It is not anything that the opposition has put forward that would, at this juncture, change the reality of the situation. It is also not unique to Canada. You saw it in the EU having this fight with the UK over who got vaccines and who did not. I think we're going to be seeing some of that for a few weeks still.
So, Andrew, are politicians asking the right questions, I guess, right now, or is it just getting far too political?
Well, it's the job of the opposition to hold the government to account. They're not measuring them against an absolute standard. They're measuring them against other countries. So, yes, we've been doing better than some countries, but we're now 21st overall and 35th over the last week. So if it's out of the government's hands, of the government of Canada's hands, is it out of the hands of the government of Portugal or the government of Lithuania or the government of Poland or any of these other countries that are ahead of us? If maybe they're just got lucky. If so, then there's not much to learn from that. But maybe there is something to be learned from the experience of other countries. And it's the job of the government to deliver and to be held to account on that. So I don't fault the opposition for not laying out their own full plan on this. Their job is to point out where the government is deficient.
Althea.
I don't fault the opposition, but I would say I think that both the government and the opposition could have been more transparent and less partisan this week. I think that suggesting that the government has no plan and that somehow the Conservative Party would have done better if it was in office doesn't really hold much water. I think the government could have saved a lot of anguish from the premier side of things and from the public side of things. I mean, frankly, listening to the press conference today, it took Major General Danny Fortin about 40 minutes to come up with something he could have said in 30 seconds, which is the discrepancy between the numbers that the premiers were given, or the provincial governments were given this morning, and the government's target of 4 million doses by the end of this quarter, is because of the way that we're counting whether or not there's going to be 5 or 6 doses per vial. And if there isn't 6 doses per vial, if Health Canada says no, well, Pfizer still says it's going to deliver 4 million doses by the end of that time period. So if they could just be transparent, they said that they were going to be open by default. If maybe they could show that, there would be less anguish from the part of the public on whether or not the government is fulfilling a plan that seems to make sense.
Chantal, one thing.
It's not clear to me that there is general anguish on the part of the public, and it's not clear to me that judgment on how this operation has been handled can be made today. It will be appropriately made at some point in the future, and it's totally possible that it will be found that the government didn't live up to what it should have done.
Althea, you want to quickly, and then Andrew, yep.
Yeah, briefly, just for some people who have, their parents in a long-term care home, I think there is anguish. And when you hear the Prime Minister say we're in good shape, that doesn't ring true.
Andrew.
Yeah, 2 things. One is on transparency. One thing the government has not been transparent about was its early reliance or hoped for reliance on the joint venture with China, the CanSino project, CanSino, I guess you pronounce it, project, which was very clear shortly after they had begun on it, was not going to happen, and they didn't tell anybody that until some months later. The other point is, Chantal's absolutely right that we're not going to make final judgments at any point now. It's going to be an ongoing thing. But let's put the numbers in perspective. If all goes according to plan, we will have about 3 million people vaccinated by the end of March. To get to the government's announced target of getting the entire adult population vaccinated by the end of September, we're going to have to go from 1 million a month, which is the rate we've been going up till today, to 1 million a week. There is no reason at this point to think we're going to get there, and it's going to be really interesting to see how we ramp up.
Yeah, although we are getting, 79,000 doses next week, and by 3 weeks later, we're up to almost 400,000 doses. So, if it all ramps up as planned, I suppose it could happen. Let me ask you all about the global aspect of this that we heard the minister talk about here, because vaccine nationalism, that's fundamentally what this is sort of about, and I wonder what kind of danger that poses to Canada and to others around the world, and whether we shouldn't have expected or hoped for a better approach to this. Chantal, I'll start with you.
I'm not sure it's vaccine nationalism. I can be proven wrong going down the road, but I think that every government is undergoing the same pressure from opposition parties and from people to get vaccines. And they are all reacting accordingly by saying we're going to get our hands on these vaccines. Whether that was predictable, yes, probably. We are not the US and we're not the UK, and we don't command the kind of, we're going to put the fear of God in you if you don't deliver our vaccines tomorrow. But I'm not ready to decide on any of that now.
Andrew.
In an ideal world, the countries of the world would have gotten together and negotiated en masse with the vaccine providers, because it is absolutely true that if all we do is guarantee vaccines for ourselves and leave other countries to sink or swim, that will ultimately come back to bite us. If their citizens are traveling around, they're going to infect us just as much. So the entire world has an interest in seeing to it that the entire world is vaccinated. In the world as it is, unfortunately, there is going to be a scramble and a competition for vaccines, and that is going to be where governments are measured, unfortunately, is how well they do in that competition.
Althea.
Two things. I think we are kidding ourselves if we had vaccine production capacity in this country, that there would be no pressure on the federal government to ensure that Canadians get vaccinated first before any such shipments go abroad. The other thing is that, it's almost like you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. A month ago, the Canadian government was being criticized abroad, articles in the BBC and Al Jazeera, for being vaccine hoarders, because we had more pre-orders per Canadian than any other rich country in the world. And the federal government has, I think, rightfully set aside some money to help developing countries get access to the vaccine. But we would be acting in our own self-interest, and unfortunately, we don't have the capacity to do so.
Just a quick go round on what these first few days back after the Christmas break tell us about how the party leaders are positioning themselves in this moment, and knowing that the possibility of an election is looming. I'll start with you. I'll start with you, maybe, Althea. I know you have stuff to say about the Conservatives.
Well, I think everybody kind of was trying to carve out a certain space in the House this week, which was kind of great to see. I was actually surprised, Aaron O'Toole, you mentioned the Conservatives, gave an answer that I thought was rather interesting and surprising to a colleague from Le Devoir about his support for helping. Well, the question was asked about decriminalizing small possessions of hard drugs. Basically, this was a directive that has gone through the Justice Department, and he was asked if he agreed with this or if he thought that MPs should weigh in on this question. And he actually said that he was not in favor of harsh punishment for people who have drug problems. Interesting. And I think demonstrates that the Conservatives are really trying to expand their tent.
Chantal, your thoughts?
The opposition parties, I think, realized again this week, through no fault of their own, that the resonance that they usually have when the House sits is just not there. Two emergency debates. Aaron O'Toole's problem is not that he's not sending messages to Canadians who may not have voted for the Conservatives in the past, but at this point, those messages mostly resonate with this base and not in a positive way. And that will be the case going forward for the opposition parties until the pandemic is more under control.
Andrew.
It's said in the military that no battle plan survives first contact with the enemy. I think all of the parties, government and opposition, are about to find that their battle plan that they had been shaping up, which was we're going to have a big budget, have a knockdown, drag-out fight over that, maybe an election coming out of it, may get put on hold. I think everybody's plans were assuming that at some point, not too distant future, the pandemic was going to be coming under control. I think with the emergence of these variants, these much more contagious variants that are now in Canada and that may prove to be resistant to vaccines, we may find that the events overtake us, that the pandemic remains such a force in our society that election talk gets put off.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. Smart conversation. Appreciate it. Before we go, you can check out our podcast, At Issue the Podcast, for extra content, including the panel's take on this story.
The government has made no decisions with respect to the selection or the recommendation of a successor for Her Majesty.
That's right, the Judy Payette story. You can look for that on any major podcast app, our website, cbcnews.ca/The National.
Okay, and Rosie, one more thing. What should we be watching for on Rosemary Barton Live this Sunday?
Well, we are going to talk more about vaccine rollouts. We are finally going to get some vaccines next week, because this week we didn't get any. So we'll talk about how that's going to unfold, as well as the variants that are continuing to make things difficult in this country, and what that might mean for travel, the few people that are still choosing to travel, and the restrictions, the further restrictions that might be put in place. So all that on Sunday.
Excellent. Very much looking forward to it. Rosie, thanks.
Thanks.
And when we come back, the world's ice is melting faster and faster, and that has Canadian scientists sounding the alarm. Welcome back. This week, the scientists manning the so-called doomsday clock kept the metaphorical countdown at 100 seconds to midnight. Midnight representing catastrophe. Now, two key factors in play: the pandemic, which we're all familiar with, but also climate change, rising temperatures, melting sea ice, and glaciers. And as Shoshana Reed tells us, they're not the only ones sounding the alarm about that right now.
The evidence is clear. Ice shelves in the Antarctic breaking off into the ocean. Sea ice disappearing in the Arctic. The world's ice is melting at an alarming rate. According to British researchers this week, 60% faster than in the 90s.
Within a few decades, there might not be any year-long sea ice at all. We might have an ice-free Arctic, which is a really horrifying thought.
Widespread ice loss means coastal communities are under the threat of rising sea levels. But there's serious concerns inland, too. Here's a rare glimpse at the inside of the Payette Glacier. Nestled in the Canadian Rockies, it's shrinking, losing 6 meters each year.
I'm standing on Payette Glacier.
John Pomeroy and his team of researchers have been monitoring weather stations, using drones and lasers, documenting ice retreat in Canada.
We're seeing the end of these glaciers, and some of them that are very shallow and very exposed, like Payette, the end of their existence within our generation.
And experts say with climate change, that loss is unavoidable.
Fortunately for Canada's glaciers in the Rockies, it doesn't look bright in their future at all. It's likely that 85% to 100% of the ice is going to be lost by 2100.
PhD student Sam Anderson has researched the impact of melting glaciers on river systems in Alberta.
During the summertime, after the seasonal snowpack has melted, the glacier ice is exposed, and that's when it's melting. So it is sustaining our river systems through even the hottest and driest summers.
Anderson estimates 1 million Albertans could see water shortages if glacier runoff that feeds into lakes and rivers is no longer there.
And so at those locations, these rivers will have a much lower flow in summer on average. So that means that water supply at those locations will be lower on average and also less consistent year to year.
And less water means impacts to hydroelectricity and water supply for cities and agricultural communities. It's why glaciologists are sounding the alarm.
We've got a really series of wicked problems in water management in Canada that we have to deal with now that are leading us to becoming a water insecure country.
Pomeroy says Canada will have to adapt to an environment with less ice. And that's not the only thing that is difficult to accept.
These are landscapes that one grows up with, and they're gone. And so there's a cultural loss and an emotional loss with losing our glaciers. And it's core to being Canadian.
For now, he and many researchers continue to monitor the changes in Canada's ice to help prepare for the uncertain road ahead. Tashana Reed, CBC News, Toronto.
Next, Marketplace investigates lenders that offer Canadians quick cash when the banks say no.
Is that how interest works?
I know it doesn't.
What our hidden cameras uncovered right after the break.
I'm Jamie Poisson, and tomorrow on CBC's daily news podcast Front Burner, how Reddit used video game retailer GameStop to take Wall Street for a ride and the fallout since. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back. For many Canadians with bad credit, getting a loan from a bank isn't easy. So many turn to alternative lenders offering quick cash, but it can come at a high cost. Over the past few months, the team at CBC's Marketplace has been investigating questionable sales tactics at some of these lenders. Here's Charles Agro with what they found.
Is it fair to call the backyard of your house a money pit?
Yes, for sure.
Like so many renovations, the work on Teresa Morton's home did not go as planned.
This whole back of the house to here all had to come off.
A $68,000 quote quickly became a $175,000 ordeal. When the bank said no, she turned to Fairstone Financial, an alternative lender.
The interest that they charged us was 27.99%.
At that rate, the $20,000 Teresa borrowed would cost her another $17,000 in interest over 5 years. To find out just how high interest rates can get and how well they're explained, we sent a Marketplace tester undercover to some popular alternative lenders.
So what's the interest?
3.94.
Sorry, 3.94
for
a year?
No, like monthly.
In my opinion, they're all misleading numbers.
Numbers and sales tactics that don't add up, according to mortgage specialist Alex Hadataji.
Most of our customers do get, unfortunately, 46.9.
46%?
Yeah.
Full time. So 3 years would cost 46 or each year?
Exactly, 46 for the full 3 years.
Okay, so not each year.
No, that would be killer.
I'm like,
Uneducated, untrained sales professional that either doesn't know what it's talking about or misleading the client completely.
When I hear that, I hear that she is expected to pay 46.9% over 3 years.
Absolutely.
Is that how interest works?
I know it doesn't. It's an annual interest rate that you charge. If it's 46%, every year you charge them 46%.
Money Mart says its employee was not trying to mislead our tester, but admits the interest explanation could have been handled better. Cash Money tells us it proudly offers credit to underbanked consumers. And Fairstone Financial says it charges high interest rates because its clients are risky and may default on their loans. Teresa Morton paid off her loan early, but worries about others. Charles Agro, CBC News, Toronto.
So hey, Marketplace's full investigation, The Truth About High Interest Loans, airs tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern on CBC Television. You can also stream it online through CBC Gem. Next on The National, you know the old line about old dogs and new tricks? Well, our moment is all about an old crow. A rescued bird learned some new skills thanks to one dedicated volunteer. Stick around. Alex Cupiro is a volunteer at a wildlife rehabilitation center in Manitoba. She has a passion for the animals there, including this crow. Now, the crow's name is Jet. Turns out Jet is pretty smart. Tonight, his impressive set of tricks makes him our moment.
Jet is a very special animal ambassador at our center. He is our only talking ambassador. He's got tons of different tricks and things. He copied the word hello, and nowadays he loves to laugh too. Can you laugh, Jet? Good laugh. He knows his colors. He's known 4 colors for the last few years, but in the last month, we've been working together to add 3 new colors. You have orange, white, blue, and yellow. Listen, blue. The teaching part is actually very easy. I love wildlife and I'm very grateful for the experience.
So it would sound like a joke if I were to say, now that Jet knows his colors, all you got to do is stick a brush in his mouth and teach him to paint. Except that's literally what they're planning to do. They're going to teach him to paint. And they're going to try to auction off the painting at a fundraiser coming up in February. Maybe if we're lucky, we will have an update for you then. That is The National for this January 28th. Have a great night.